Check, 1, 2, 3, check. Let's make sure it's working as expected. Okay, looks like I can see myself on my phone. I have 0 people watching, that's good. Says I'm live. Cool. Looks like I am live. Alright, so good news. Awen and the Hello Triangle is running on Android. On my phone. Let's go. Hello Triangle. Oh, that took a lot of effort though. So I think what I want to start with is kind of doing a quick review of my pull request, which was plus 933 changes, minus 209 changes to get Hello Triangle running on Android. Not only that, actually, I have something else I can show that's really cool. So with Android Studio, I can launch a virtual pixel device. I'll just drag it over here, maybe, so we can see this. I can use CMake to configure on Windows for Android. Configure. Let it do its thing. Make sure it builds. Okay, so when targeting Android, my executable is actually built as a shared object. So then I'll build it, or I'll package the APK. Cool. And then I'll say ADB install. So I made these all CMake targets so I don't have to remember all these scripts, and then I can also run these scripts anywhere my repo exists because it uses CMake. So it ran and installed, and then if we look over at our virtual device here, we got a little icon that popped up. Hello Triangle. So I got it running, or I got it working for the virtual device, the ability to drag and drop onto my phone and install it. If I plugged my phone into USB, then using the ADB install would also push it to the phone. But got all that working. And this will work on Windows and my dev containing environment for Linux. So that way you don't necessarily have to have Android Studio on your system. You can just pop into the dev container and get it up and running. But anyways, we'll go over a quick review of the changes I've made to see just to get a general gist of what this took. And I guess to start with, we'll look over here on the left where the dev container information is, the Docker file. We went over this in the last stream, but I basically had to make sure I got Android SDK for the NDK, which requires the JDK installed into the container. Dev container information. So when launching the dev container, if I want to use the Android virtual environment, use the Android emulator that's built into the dev container, I have to have the KVM hooked up. And then the other thing that I was able to get working was with my phone connected to my desktop, I was able to do an ADB install of the APK into my phone from the dev container. But to do that, that required a couple of things, which is a tool for Windows to forward USB devices to WSL. I then had to configure my WSL environment to accept the USB devices. I then had to, in my dev container here, mount the USB device so that the dev container could access it. So when you run adb install, it actually pushes and you get the APK running on your phone. I don't know if I want to keep this long term, because I think the Windows workflow that I have works just fine. And if anyone else needs this kind of stuff in a dev container, well, it exists. So I don't know if I want to do this whole bridge from dev container to Windows to support all this. But for now, it's there. Linux, not too much. We did this last stream. I just had to make sure raylib dependencies existed in the dev container. I created an action to streamline some of the duplicate Docker shenanigans we're doing in GitHub Actions. Let's see, what else? Android. So this was the stuff that I didn't know how to do. And I did, last stream, I took a very cursory glance at some of the Android documentation, Gradle, that kind of thing. But in order to actually build and package the APK, we essentially needed this Android folder, and I didn't write all this from scratch. A lot of this was kind of copied and pasted from a Flutter project I was using that also builds Android. And then with the help of AI, getting it scripted to work with my CMake configuration. So basically, all of this is needed for packaging the APK. No real changes to Awen. The big thing with the Awen main.cpp was hello triangle. We used AI to generate that. Very simple, just draw a triangle. Raylib provides a function to draw the triangle, so not a lot of heavy lifting going on there. The big thing was getting that running on Windows, dev container, which we showed off in the last stream, and then on my phone. This was a big thing to get the Android packaging working with my project. So ended up creating an Android toolchain file, which goes in, and the big thing here is the auto generation of the. Oh, it's not going to be in here. It's not going to be in GitHub. Let me see if I can pull it up. There's a local.properties file that points to the location of the Android SDK. Well, that's going to be different on Windows and the dev container. So this Android toolchain is designed around trying to locate the SDK either on Windows or locating it in the Android dev container. And then once it finds it, auto-generating that local.properties file so that Gradle can use it to package everything. And so that's what a lot of this is doing. It's just doing some finds, locations. If things aren't defined, set them, that kind of stuff. And then it calls into the VC package toolchain to set everything in motion. Presets. So some presets had to change here. I just lost it right here. This was mostly to get the tool chains forwarded to where they need to be. And then the other thing I ran into was my presets weren't granular enough. So because I'm building the Android APK on both Linux and Windows, I now need to be able to say, hey, my host is Linux, my target is Android, my host is Windows, my target is Android. So that whole cross compilation thing I've talked about in past streams, we had to update some, or I had to update some presets to make all that work. So that's where you're going to get in and see a bunch of stuff going on here. We also talked about building shared libs. To start with, we're just going to do static. I'm going to have to do some extra work to handle like automatic dependency tracking and installation, so on Windows specifically, so that it'll be easy for me to be able to say, hey, install, and it will pull in not just Awen's libraries and executables, but it'll pull in any like package dependencies so that we can just run awen.exe on the command line, and it will just run. So this was kind of a hack, not even a hack, just I'm lazy, okay? Get off my back. What else? This is that host stuff I was talking about, the target stuff, so we're done with the presets here. Custom triplet for Android so that we can, where is it? Right here. So we can help find the location of Android. So this in conjunction with that other script will kind of get all of the Android toolkits, SDKs, located and set up so that in CMake I can just hit build APK, run ADB install, and it magically works, automagically works. Simple test, updated Clang Tidy. So this one was a little interesting. This one is a style preference for me. I like, and you'll see this pop up as I start writing more C++ stuff, but for simple like setters and getters, I like to just use a single character because I know what I'm setting when I say set value, set heading, set Charizard, set Batman, you know. I already know what that function is, so I like to reduce how much I have to read by just using a single character. So this readability identifier length actually was preventing that, so I got rid of it for now. There might be a better way. I could probably go in Clang Tidy and say, hey, only do this, or only don't call this out for certain scenarios. And then really the scenario is functions that take one parameter. Miscellaneous include cleaner. This is an issue with Clang Tidy and C++ modules, so I ended up removing it for now. It will call you out that you didn't include a header. So if I'm using C++ modules to import Awen, well then this yells at you saying, hey, you didn't include Awen, what's going on? And I'm saying, hey, screw you, I did. So I just shut it up. So yeah, that's the gist of it. The bulk of the work was getting the Android environment configured in CMake so we can just hit a button and go. And you can see the struggles to make that happen until eventually we got down here and now we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and merge that. No longer need the branch. And then in VS Code here, check out the latest branch. Oh, what did I do? I clicked way too quick. Oh my gosh, what did I do? Oh no. Okay. Ignore that. Yep. So, Android, and I didn't realize this, one of the struggles I went through was I like to have all of my auto-generated files, temporary files, build files, that kind of thing. I like to make sure they all end up in my build folder here. That way there's like one location where you know you can simply delete and not have to worry about accidentally deleting something you didn't mean to. Android Gradle, it likes to have its output in its own directory. So in the Android directory, you'll have app, you have this .cxx and this .build. Both of these are generated for the Android builds, and I wanted to try and keep the Gradle stuff self-contained because that is, as I understand it, that's what a typical Android developer would expect these files, these temporary files to be. So I left them alone, and then in my CMake script, when we actually go to build, it will copy the contents from that into the Android preset here under, I think it's output. So I'm still kind of keeping the same Gradle expectation, and then that's where you get the APK. I don't know if I like that or not. I don't know if I actually need it in two locations, but this was just kind of from the mindset of, oh, I want everything on my build folder so I know I can delete it and be good to go for a clean start. But yeah, so we have Hello Triangle now running on Windows, Linux, Mac. You have to take my word for Mac. It compiles. I ran it on my Mac or my MacBook. All that's good. On Android, as you saw, I showed you on the phone. So the only thing left really is getting this running in the web, which I would like to do. I'm hoping it'll be a lot easier than what it was for Android. And then I think from there, I might swap RayLib for SDL. Because I've been thinking about it, and SDL 3 also supports Android and WebAssembly. Love RayLib, love how easy it is to get it up and running, but that ease ends up wrapping a lot of functionality that I won't have access to, and I end up having to work around that to get the behavior I want. So I'm using RayLib to kind of jumpstart the project, but then I think I'm going to swap it. So before then, let's see if we can get this up and running in web. And the question is, where the hell do we start? I know we can... Okay, so I think step one actually is... Let's create a branch so I can start making changes. WASM triangle. Let's hop into the Android or the WebAssembly dev container, which will have the Inscripton dependencies. I might also look into just getting Inscripton installed on my Windows box, so then I don't have to keep toggling over to the dev container. But I do want to make sure everything works in the dev container since that's what the pipeline uses. Hopefully, I don't have to do much. I think I'm only missing, like, the HTML page. So if I go to build, so I already have this set to build. I'm just gonna do release, script and release. So instead of building a Awen.exe with Inscripton, it builds Awen.javascript. I'm actually curious what that looks like. I've looked at this before, and I think it's like a wall of text. Does my install step actually install this? It does. Okay, let's go there. Oh my gosh, it's all in one line. Which I think is actually a lot quicker to load than if it was all like pretty formatted. It says it's on JavaScript. I wonder why it's not. Is VS Code not? Oh no. 155 kilobytes of text all on a single line. Because I legitimately think that is the fastest way to load text. I ran into something like this a long time ago where I had to auto generate the contents of a CISO standard PDF/XML database, and I had to parse the entire XML, which was like 50-something megabytes of data. Not significant, but when you think about megabytes in the form of text, you're talking a couple million lines of text, a few million actually. And I needed to parse all of that. And then also, at the time, now you gotta remember this is like almost 15 years ago, we had to take all of this text, this XML text, and compile it into like a C array and link it into an executable because we wanted to build a little executable tool wrapped around this database. Run it on the command line so you can perform queries and stuff like that. So I essentially did like a poor man's database lookup table here, but it was all baked into the executable. And one thing I learned was during compilation, when you have these like millions of lines of text written to a CPP file that you're storing in a C array, during this in Visual Studio, there was a limit to how many characters wide your page could be. And so when I had like millions of lines of text string, essentially, we're talking like one big string getting loaded into a C array during compilation, it would literally take like an hour to get this thing compiled and linked. Now, back then, we're talking a Core i5, like a second gen Core i5, which was like 2 cores, no hyper-threading, 4 gigs of RAM laptop, like a little IBM Lenovo laptop, trying to ingest this massive CPP file. And it took forever. Well, it turns out, once I figured out what the line limit is of I'm assuming it was Visual Studio at the time. I don't know what the width limit it was at the time for like GCC. But I basically like extended it to, gosh, 28,000 characters per line, something like that, and got that like million line CPP file down to like tens of thousands of lines of CPP. And it went from like an hour plus to compile and link down to like 30 seconds. And I'm like, holy shit. So ever since then, I'm like, oh, it must be a lot quicker to ingest and process lines when it's all written on a single line versus like having to iterate through multiple lines kind of thing. I am assuming that's what's going on here too. Could be wrong. All right, so that's the JavaScript that gets ran, but we need an HTML page to actually load into a browser, and I think we also need the WebAssembly file, because that's, like, we actually need the binary. And that got put somewhere. That got put here, awen.wasm, which is a binary. So that's what gets loaded in to a browser's, essentially the browser's virtual machine. Because each tab is like its own virtual machine. So I've done this before. I have it in a repo somewhere, so I'm gonna take a look. See if I can find it. Oh my gosh, I did this it's probably a couple of years ago, so I gotta remember where I put that. But I think there's something I have to do in CMake to be like, hey, build an HTML target for this. Maybe it's in GitLab. It is in GitLab. Okay, I have it. So I am, let's see, where do I have to do this? If we are using mscripten, so this right here, I need to also install additional files. This makes it look like, oh no, this is with Qt. That's right. So Qt might have been automatically generating the HTML page. So I gotta learn how to do this myself, I guess. And we probably also need a tool to serve the WebAssembly. I'm gonna have to Google this. Let's see. I compiled an executable using raylib and mscripten. Into JavaScript and WebAssembly. How do I actually run and load this into a browser? Nice, you're at the last mile of Inscriptum flow. This part is simple once you know the rules. First, you can't just open the HTML file directly. I don't have an HTML file. If you double click your HTML file, ooh, am I supposed to have an HTML file? Okay, I don't have an HTML file. Easy way, use a load web server. Option 1, use super quick, use Python. Do I have Python installed on my computer? Oh wait, I'm in a dev container. I wonder if I can just... do I have Python 3? I do. So this says use Python 3-m http.server 8080. We could also use Node.js to serve. And I think I have to run this in the directory of my content. So I still need to, so even if I don't have HTML, I still want to make sure. Okay, this is putting it in a web destination, which I think I'm okay with. We don't have a Qt loader. That clearly makes sense. So let's try... Because I want to serve, I think, this web folder. Is what this is going to boil down to. Let's see. You mentioned an HTML file. When I build my target with VC package, CMake, raylib, GLW, GLFW3, I get a JS file and a WASM file. Okay. So we get a web folder now, so now we should have a build WASM installed. Except we didn't. Build WASM installed. I just had to refresh. Okay, so we get that. So let's see why I'm missing an HTML file. I might have to generate. Yeah, easiest solution is generate with HTML output. Just change your output to .html. Oh, that's right. How did I do that? I do remember having to do that. Where do I tell it to do that, though? CMake executable suffix. CMake executable suffix, and that's for WASM. So I think that can be a preset, right? So if I come into my CMake presets here, not in here. Target scripting. I can be like CMake executable suffix .html. Let's try that. Ooh, it didn't refresh. So now I'm thinking I just need to reload the window. There we go. Presets are loaded. All right. So now I should be able to, let's configure. Okay, well, yeah, I didn't tell it to grab HTML, but let's see what we got here. Crap. Okay, what shall I try next? We can make sure if we look at the compile commands, make sure it actually stuck the landing. We can also check the CMake cache for, I think, CMake executable suffix. Okay, so that is there. Look at the compile commands, we should see em++. Is there a .html? Not seeing that anywhere. Index.html. So that didn't get generated. This is saying we should see a -o dot or a .html for output. We're creating our object files. Not seeing. You know what? Alright, it's time to bring in AI. I don't want to have to dig through this to figure it out, especially if AI can figure it out for me. Hey, I am trying to get an HTML generated for the Awen target while building the WASM 32 mscriptin release preset, but I can't seem, but only an Awen.js and Awen.wasm is generated. I am wondering if I have to have if I have to provide my own index template, if you will. I've only ever done this through Qt or Qt, so they may have always provided it. This is why we're doing this, so we can learn. I might also have to set up a port forward for my dev container here, because if I serve it from my container, I want to be able to access it in my browser outside of the container. Found the root cause. Inscripted platform module at Inscriptin unconditionally does JavaScript, which shadows the HTML cache variable set in the preset. A normal set in CMake takes precedence over a cache value. The fix is to set the suffix at the target level using target properties inside the Inscriptin block. Okay. It would have taken me a minute to figure that out. For sure. So that means it's getting set here instead of as a global cache variable. We'll see if this works. Hope it does. Hey, look at that! We have an HTML page. Ooh, this is exciting. Is it going to be this easy? So I just need to run it, and now we have Hello Triangle. Wanted to see, okay, so HTML and JavaScript is getting written to bin as well as web. So I think I don't want this install if we are doing mscripting. So if not mscripting. Oh. Okay, I stopped. Then I should be able to delete. Okay. I'll just delete the whole thing. Okay, so now we should see, let's refresh, a web folder inside our installed target that has our HTML, our JavaScript, and our WASM. So now I need to serve it, right? So that's the whole Python thing. So Python, oh, except I think I need to be in the, okay, so if I go into build, WASM, release, installed, web, Python 3-m 8080. Oh, Python. That's not a thing. All right, we are serving. Your application running on port 8080 is available. Open in browser. Wait, what? Let's try this here. Let's take a look. So directory listing, Awen, Awen.js. So let's try the HTML. Exception thrown. See JavaScript module. Oh man, we're so close. What's going on? What did I do wrong? Can I resize this at all? Initializing Raylib. Platform backend web, HTML5. OpenGL device information. Vertex array object extension detected. Functions loaded successfully. Warning, GL input texture extension not found. Limited input support. I don't know what an input is. The platform web was initialized successfully. Shaders are good. Oh, that's good. Default font is good. System working directory target time per frame. Wait, did we not see an error? Oh, it says exception thrown. See JavaScript module. Okay, so we got a black window. I was expecting a white window with a red triangle. Powered by mscripting. So how do we figure this out? I don't even know how to debug this. Oh, how do you debug mscripting? I'm gonna need AI on this one. Let me close out of, I already did, okay. So we got a code 404, message file not found. Alright, so how do we do this? I am running my WASM application from the web folder for my preset. Give it a little bit more information. Installed web folder for my preset. I am able to load localhost 8080 on my browser in Windows, but I get a black screen with I get a black screen. I also get a message from the Inscription webpage that there is a JavaScript exception. I'm not sure how to debug this. See JavaScript console. Is that like inspect? There's a console. Ooh! 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 I can give it this. I can give the AI this. Ah, this is kind of cool, actually. I didn't know we could do that. Can I steer it? I found the JavaScript console. Steering. Come on. Read my information. Read it. No, stop. Alright, well, we tried. Alright, so what's going on here? Nothing we can do about input, because I don't know what that means. Aborted. Please compile your program with async support in order to use asynchronous operations like inscript and sleep. Oh, I don't have threading. That's the issue. Didn't I find thread? Where did I do that? I already did that. The WASM binary wasn't compiled with async support. Fixes to use Inscriptum set main loop on web instead of a blocking while loop. Plus the browser's event loop handle. God. You making changes to the main application to do this? I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, this is just a Raylib thing. I don't know what the real solution would be here. If I actually wanted to support WASM, do I just avoid using multi-threaded rendering? Fix in main. Yeah, see, I don't want to have to start doing this myself. I want my libraries to do this for me. I shouldn't have to do this. On web, hand control the browser's event loop, passing 0. No. No. I would rather not use custom code for Inscription. And I file my binary with async. I know it's probably not as performant. I'm not stressed about performance or doing things necessarily the 100% correct way. It's more about not having to maintain a bunch of stuff I don't want to maintain. So I don't feel like my project. I can do what I want. Yes, add -s asyncify to the Inscription linker flag and convert main to simple loop. Okay, so hopefully that's all I need. see one eyeball on my OBS saying someone is watching from Twitch. I don't know if you're a real person. I don't know if you're a bot. But if you are actively watching me and are keeping up, I appreciate you. If you have any questions about why the hell I'm doing something a certain way, the answer is I don't know. But eventually, I promise I'll write some C++. Someday. Alright, so what changed? Build and installed, hard to refresh the browser, Control-Shift-R. Okay, let's try it. Control-Shift-R. Let's go! We did it! We now have Hello Triangle running in a browser, on my Android app, Windows, Linux, Mac, ARM, x64. That's all you really need, right? Okay, so let's read the limitations here. One trade-off to be aware of. Asyncify increases WASM binary size and has a small runtime overhead, since it has to restore the call stack on every yield. For a simple rendering loop, this is imperceptible, but it's worth knowing if the binary grows significantly. Yeah, sounds good to me. As long as I don't have to mess with him scripting in my C++ code. Alright. Let's see, where are we? So we can get rid of this. This. Let's push some changes up. I don't want to do it all. Free up and full real quick. Okay, so we needed to add Asyncify, the link option. We're using GLFW because of Braylib. I mean, I'm assuming Unscripted is just using GLFW in general, even if I switch to SDL. I don't know if that's true. I really don't. Installing our HTML projects, and then if we're not using Unscripted, we install normally. Cool. Cool. Wasn't sure if I needed that for Android either, but I don't think it's hurting anything, so I'm not going to stress about it. Hello Triangle working in browser. Alright, so the next step here, I think, is I do want to swap over to using SDL3. So I'll probably just have AI do that. I'll just be like, hey, I'm currently using Raylib to render a triangle. Let's use SDL3 instead, and then we'll go through the motion, verify it works on Windows, Linux, browser, and Android. So I think all the hard stuff is now mostly figured out. At this point, it's going to be more about figuring out what dependencies SDL has compared to Raylib and what we need to change, that kind of thing. And then with that, I'll be ready to start. We'll basically take the Hello Triangle app and turn it into an actual library with API calls, where I can, define vertices, define a color, create a window, that kind of thing. That's good. Looks like we're not taking too long in the pipelines yet, but to be fair, we're only compiling one CPP file. 2 CPP files. And an IXX file. But besides that, that's it. Alright, everything passed. Let's get onto the main branch, create a new branch. We will replace raylib with SDL3. Now we're gonna, I think, just let the AI go at it, right? I mean, everything's there. It knows how to get things to compile. We'll know if something breaks now because we have a bunch of pipeline jobs. So let's do this. I want to replace the raylib dependency with SDL3. The Awen application renders a triangle using raylib. This needs to be replaced with the SDL3 library. Now here's where it's going to get tricky too. We want to go real low level where we use SDL3 with specific API driver backends like Vulkan, OpenGL, Metal, Web GPU, that kind of thing. We're going to have to use the GPU API with SDL3. Now, I was messing with this, I think, well, maybe about 2 years ago. Whenever it like first came out, maybe a year and a half ago. And it was complicated, right? Not as complicated as writing Vulkan from scratch, but it was still somewhat complicated because you do have to mess with like render pipelines and things like that. And so you have to have some idea on how a GPU works. With this AI command that I gave it, my suspicion is it's going to give me the simpler 2D API, which is okay, but it does mean that we won't have access to shaders and any kind of like transformations we want to do. We have to do them on the CPU before submitting the render commands to SDL, which I think is basically the same thing raylib would do. But at some point, if we want to use like shaders, vertex shaders to do the transformations for us, then we would have to use the GPU-based API. But for now, step one, let's get a triangle rendering with SDL3 to make sure all that's kosher. I expect this to also, yep, it's already doing it. Reading my VC package dependency list, I expect it's going to swap out all of that. Realize my vertical display for YouTube isn't showing what's going on. So it begins. That's interesting. I wonder why it's messing with Gradle. We'll have to take a look once it's done. Oh, I bet SDL is probably bringing its own Android. Yeah, it's bringing its own Android implementation integration, which is nice. That means I don't have to figure that out myself. I just want to run it on Android and be happy. It's texting me. Oh, I've been my own viewer this whole time. I wonder if I should have used Opus for this instruction instead of Sonnet. Opus is supposed to be a little better at digging into larger context, I think. I don't know. I don't quite understand the differences. Not enough to be confident about it anyway. Alright, well, we're watching paint dry. I'm gonna go check on my cat real quick. He's hanging out in the garage. Good old lazy Sundays. I set myself up in the right. I wish I knew what I was doing. Does anyone else ever feel that way? Kind of just treading water, figuring out how all this stuff works. Man, it's really thinking about this. Maybe I should have just done this. I don't think it would have taken me as long. That's not true. I don't know what all gotchas there are going to be for doing all this. Oh, it's starting to read. Didn't I already read this stuff? It is cool watching this work. I guess while this is running, I might be able to start talking about a thought process for the engine, at least for the rendering part. I haven't decided if I want to use ECS or not. That's its own bag of worms. I kind of like it, but it also requires writing your components intelligently, and so to be cache friendly, which in turn means you got to really kind of plan and think out how you want to implement your game. Whereas if you do something like what Godot does, which is, you know, node-based reversal, which also is very similar to how Qt does things, but Qt's not a game. But anyway, you can do stuff like that, and it'll perform just fine, right? You're not, like, even when you use node-based implementations like Godot, anything that's going to be critically like performant, you can still optimize for that, right? You can have a single node that iterates over a cache of memory versus putting all of your objects individually into nodes. Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing that, even with not using an entity component system. So that's what I'm thinking. And since I have a lot of experience with Qt, my implementation might lean towards something like that, where it's more of like you have a model and a view. The view handles rendering what's in the model, and then, excuse me, you might also define how to render what's in the model. That's just because that's where a lot of my experience is. I also want to do some kind of scripting language, I think. I don't know what. I don't want to try out the V8 engine, the JavaScript V8 engine, because again, that's what Qt uses. I'm not going to invent my own scripting language. Only reason I would do that is if I could work on this full time, which is probably never going to happen. Now add the sync SDL3 Android sources, Gradle task, and wire in. Okay, so we're making a lot of changes here. This is interesting. Be curious to see what all changed. There's no guarantee any of this works. Yeah, see, we're using SDL render geometry, SDL render debug text, SDL create window, create renderer. This is the simplified SDL API. This isn't the GPU API. All right, so let's hit keep. And then let me take a look at this stuff real quick. So we updated VC package with SDL3, that makes sense. Using SDL APIs, makes sense. Update CMake list to find SDL3, makes sense. In Android, we removed GLES, EGL, and native on create because SDL3 manages its own GL context and JNI entry point. Interesting. In scripting, removed the use GLFW and async. No longer needed the non-blocking Inscriptin loop. Arg loop removes the asyncify requirement. SDL3 provides its own canvas backend. Desktop removed. Yep, MSVC removed WinMMM. That makes sense. SDL3 static CMake blah blah blah. Oh, cool. So I think like SDL3 is using WinMMM, but it's doing CMake a little more correctly than what Raylib's doing. So it will automatically pull in the dependency for us, which is highly preferred. Android manifest replaced the native activity with Awen activity, removed Android has code false and the Android app lib name metadata. Awen activity Java is new, minimal SDL activity subclass that overrides the Git libraries and loads SDL3 and Awen, so SDL3's Java runtime finds lib Awen correctly. And then we changed build Gradle KTS, which I think is like Kotlin's version. Added a sync SDL3 Android sources Gradle task group that copies SDL3's Java runtime files from the VC package build trees. Why is it doing it from the build trees? That might be a problem. That could be a problem because eventually we will cache anything we build, and so the build tree might not exist on the next iteration if we installed everything from cache. So I'll have to take a look at this, because if the Java stuff exists in like SDL3 shared, then that's where we'll have to have this point to. And then it's going to copy it into source main Java org lib SDL app, run it once after the first CMake configure for the Android triplet, blah, blah, blah. And then, okay. So we let AI do its thing. Now let's take a look. That makes sense. We want to use SDL3. Oh my gosh. Source main Java org lib. It wrote a simple like Java file. Interesting. To load the shared object library. So lib Awen and lib SDL3. Huh. I don't know if I would have figured it out through enough documentation reading, but getting that there that quickly was kind of nice. Oh, look how much less code we need, because I guess SDL pulls in more stuff for us. So we don't have to maintain it or manage it manually. Some of this might have to go back though. I think we might still need this asyncify, because assuming main, yeah, see, it's doing this whole inscripting thing again, and I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. SDL3 a little lower level, so we do have to write a little bit more code. That makes sense. Okay, so I think that's the next thing I want to do before I try and run this, is I want to get rid of the custom inscriptum code. I don't want custom inscriptum code in my main.cp. And I just enable asyncify instead. I mean, the fact that AI keeps having me try to do inscriptum set main loop arg probably means, not, we don't know for sure, but probably means this is the ideal way of doing things. Three changes: removed inscript and include, inscript and cancel loop. And even then, if I do have to use the inscriptum loop, I'll just wrap it in my own like library. Okay, so now we should get code without script. Perfect. So let's actually take a look at main.cpp. So we include SDL3, SDL main, that, I think we need that. I don't think we need SDL main. Mainly because we have our own main defined. Alright, so this will init SDL with the videos driver. We'll create a window. Cool. We'll create the renderer. We will render a frame. Which, oh my god. What the heck is app state? A struct? I'll let it pass for now, but that's insane. I generally speaking don't write code like this. That's insane to me. So I just want to make sure this works first before we mess with it. That way, once I start messing with it, I can verify if my changes break anything. Okay, so let's see. First things first. Let's do an easy run. Let's do Windows debug. All right, it built or it configured. Dependencies were built, so now let's build it. This is due to my pedantic flags. It's calling out unused or unreferenced variables. Yep, so I will do what I had before, get rid of that. Compile. Okay, so it compiled, it installed. So we can either call this from the command line, or I think I can also choose to try and run it, especially since it's built statically, try and just run it from its build directory. So we'll hit play. Is that red triangle more red than the Raylib triangle? Or am I crazy? I don't know. Might be crazy. Alright. So that worked. I also want to make sure it works for Visual Studio. We've changed a lot, and I haven't messed with Visual Studio in a sec. So let's get it configured for Visual Studio. Okay. All right, so configured for Visual Studio. If I go to build it, it'll just use the default build type, I think, which is debug. There might be a way to specify it in here that I haven't figured out. But the other way to do it is to navigate to the build directory here for Visual Studio and find the solution file and open it. So that's what I'm going to do. Ooh, we got an update. I will set the project to run, and we will build it in debug. It built. I'll play it. Boom. And just be sure we'll build it in release. Run it. Boom. Cool. Visual Studio, MSVC, we're good. Windows is good. All right, so now we want to make sure we are good on Linux, right? Let's hop over to a Linux container. Can't do Inscript in here. I'm gonna have to fix that. I don't want Inscripting to pop up in our Linux container. Let's do GCC release. Going to remove the Raylib and dependencies and add in SDL and dependencies. This is where it might fail, depending on what Linux packages SDL is expecting to exist. So we might have to update dependencies for SDL for the Docker file. Kind of figured. So we need to install these tools to our Docker file. And we also need, and I probably need it in the Android file as well, I'm guessing. And then, actually, I don't know if that's true because Android is providing its own GL implementation. That might not be true. Alright, so I added it to Docker file, but I'm not going to rebuild it. I'm just going to do a apt install here. I wonder if I need to make sure my Docker file runs an upgrade. It's probably grabbing the latest, right? Okay. Let's try that again. Alright. Now what are we missing? libxcrypt failed to build. Oh, make command not found. Is that because I literally don't have make installed? Because I don't have make installed. Wow. Alright. We need to make sure... I mean, which makes sense because I've been using Ninja. Need to make sure make is installed. I feel like that's a core tool. Yeah, whatever. It's not everything needed, it does it. Yeah, whatever. I'll leave it there. Alright, let's try that again. wonder how I want to handle. So I really want this to be able to work fully in like a text set. I don't want to have to depend on a GUI. Maybe someday, if I'm bored, this has any kind of traction, we can make a GUI for like editing, property editing kind of stuff. But at least from my perspective, it's not how I like to write code. I'm almost picturing being able to, especially if I can get this run in a web, like as WebAssembly or something, I can almost picture having the graphical editor be a tab in VS Code. That would be cool. I don't know if it'd be any good, but I think it would be cool, because then I can picture like, or any tool that accepts like WebGL rendering in a tab. But being able to like script in bring your own editor, script in your editor, and then be able to dynamically see the script change what's being rendered in your editor. That would be cool. And pretty fun to make. And to be fair, I haven't looked. Maybe something like that already exists. But maybe I shouldn't look so I don't, so I can come up with my own ideas. SDL definitely takes a little bit longer to compile with all of its dependencies. It's also going to be slower on my computer because I'm in a WSL environment, compiling to my disk. Is really thinking about this. So, let's see here. Main.cpp. Oh, there it goes. We have essentially a single thread that's rendering everything. I eventually want to get to a point. Let's see. Render draw color, render clear, render present. Okay, so this is kind of like your begin drawing, end drawing. I want to get to a point where this stuff here happens on a separate thread, and then like this stuff will be on the main thread. I think. Then what I can do is I can have on one thread handle all of these draw commands. I'm thinking almost like a scene graph, a scene tree, to build all the stuff up, to make adjustments to it, that kind of thing. But then on the main thread is where we will handle like signal slot connections, game logic, physics logic, and then only have like one synchronization point to pass state changes from the main thread to the GUI thread. That way we don't have to deal with tons of mutexes, getting locked and unlocked and having to deal with that kind of contention, versus maybe we just have like one synchronization point. Might not even need a mutex. Maybe it's going to be like a, I think there's like in the C++ library, there's not a semaphore. Oh, this is gonna drive me crazy. It's like, what is it? STL, CPP, STL, standard. I was just reading about this the other day. Binary, maybe it is a semaphore. Counting semaphore, binary semaphore. Signal the worker thread to start working by increasing the semaphore's count. Release, acquire. Wait until the worker thread is done doing the work by attempting to decrement the semaphore's count. This is kind of what I was thinking, actually, because you could, up till this point, you know, this is where all your logic is going to be. You're going to do your update functions, your process functions if you're a Godot fan, your physics functions, handling input events, that kind of thing. And then we will increment the semaphore's count and basically say, hey, it's time for the rendering thread's synchronization point to begin. And inside there, transfer any state we need from the main thread into the rendering thread. And then once that state has been transferred, we will essentially release, and then now the rendering thread is free to go process its entire tree. So we're talking begin draw, end draw your triangles, draw your shaders, do any kind of batch processing, all of that on the render thread. And so then on the main thread, we can continue working and continue processing physics, that kind of thing, until it's time to do another synchronization. But that way, we're paying for that synchronization once versus having to have a bunch of mutexes locking and unlocking all over the place with data. That's my thought anyway. I don't know. I think that's similar to how Qt does it. I always liked it. Made it pretty nice to be like, hey, there's one function here where you can safely synchronize. As long as you do it in this function, you don't have to worry about managing your own thread safety. libsystemd. 6 of 9. So we are still building. You know, while this is going, actually, is this gonna we still don't know if it's gonna pass. So I was gonna say I can at least push up. It didn't pass. All right. So what failed now? We failed at setting up a Python environment. libsystemd. Let's check its release. We need Python VNV. I prefer not to specify a specific version. Oh, we don't have to. Python 3 VNV. Docker file. Docker file. Oh, Docker file. What are they feeding you? That doesn't make sense. Let's see here. I changed my mind. Mainly because I only have to build this layer when I push up a change. Otherwise, if I rebuild this layer, then all these other layers have to be rebuilt on top of it, I think. Okay, so I need to install that. Let's make sure is that the only thing I needed? Let's configure again. We'll get there. We will get there. Alright, cool. Well, so now I'm going to run the map. Gotta check on my cat. It's like really nice inside. Yeah, it's 83. Oh my god, it's 83. I'm gonna turn the AC on. Be right back. Well, it's 83 outside, but it's cooler in the garage. And my cat found an old litter box I grabbed from my mom a while back that's just sitting out in my garage. He's just chilling. There's a blanket in there. He's just chilling. He's been chilling since right before I started stream, so what, an hour and a half? Nothing more fun than watching paint dry. But we are making progress, so that's good. I might have to get to a point where with these dev containers, maybe I just, instead of working on my system's drive, I work inside the WSL environment, because it will go faster that way. But at the same time, it's not like I'm compiling these dependencies over and over again. Once they get cached, I'm done. But at the beginning of development, while we're still trying to figure all this out, there will be some churn, which will require rebuilding the dependencies a couple times. A few times. Maybe more than a few. I'm not sure. I mean, I am sure. But at the same time, I'm not. We're getting close. We're almost there. And if this works, then we will have confirmed SDL works on Linux. I'll just assume it'll work on Mac for now. I guess I could go grab my MacBook, but you guys won't get to see what's happening. I don't know how useful that is. As long as it's passing in the pipeline, I'm not too worried about it. Ooh, but there might be other dependencies because I'll need to use brew install. But the Mac has a bunch of stuff in its SDK. It's probably fine. Because SDL will be using Metal. The fun stuff is still going to be Android and WebAssembly, making sure that works. Honestly, you know what? Nah, I probably shouldn't. It's not like it's using a bunch of my resources. Video coding because of streaming. 22 gigs of memory. I've got plenty of RAM, which I got before AI started gobbling up all the RAM. I got way before. This computer is like over 5 years old. I originally did not have a 5950 in it. I think I had the 3 series version of the 50. What is that? 3950, something like that. But as parts started to die, I started replacing them. So I'm still on DDR4. The next computer I buy is DDR5, but I looked it up. Like 64 gigs of RAM is like $900, which is about as expensive as RAM was when I built my first computer. When I built my first computer, it was a quad-core Extreme with 1 gig of RAM, which was 4 RAM sticks, and I think that cost me $400. You know what? I bet I still have. Let me see if I can log into my Newegg. Oh my gosh, it's been a long time since I've logged into Newegg, so I don't even know if this will work. I have since. I hate that this is true, but I've been using Amazon for a while now. It's just easier, quicker. You don't run into as many issues, or I haven't. To continue, approve the notifications sent to my email address to log into Newegg. Huh. Uh-oh. Why am I not getting it? Please, to continue, approve the notifications sent to my email address. Why am I not getting it? Am I in the wrong email? Did it get sent to spam? Wouldn't surprise me. I haven't used Newegg in forever. There we go. It's in all mail. Approve it. Approved. That worked. All right, we're in. Let's see if I can look at my order history. I think this was like back in 2007, which was almost 20 years ago. Oh no. I was right out of high school. Order history. Let's see. Orders, recent orders, year. Oh, does it only go back to 2016? Oh, come on. Can I not go back further? Thanks for being a Newegg customer for 19 years. Oh no. This was a mistake. This was a grave mistake. Does Newegg really not keep orders from 19 years ago? I can search orders, find a guest order, digital orders. No. Offers, account, history, payment options. Dang it. Well, anyway, yeah, I'm not seeing how to go back further than 2016. But yeah, I got the quad-core Extreme, which was like $1,000 at the time. 1 gig of RAM, which was 4 sticks of what is that? 256 megabyte memory, and the RAM for 1 gig was $400 as well. I bought this computer to run Windows Vista when it came out. I basically got Windows Vista as it came out with this computer, and I think even a copy of Windows Vista back then was like $400 for the, or $600 actually, for like the Pro version. And so yeah, I bought this computer as a kid out of high school with a credit card he probably shouldn't have had, or with a limit he probably shouldn't have had. And yeah, it was like a $4,000 or $5,000 computer, dual monitor. So even back then, I was rocking dual monitor. I haven't been single monitor ever, I don't think. Not even at work. I don't know how anyone can be productive with one monitor. But yeah, I don't know what the hard drives. I don't remember what the hard drive was. Oh, I do. It was a Western Digital Raptor drive, which was like a 10,000 RPM drive. I don't remember how much space I had on it, but man, when it started to spin, you heard it spin. I got this acrylic glass tower so you could see all the components. That tower did not live long. It got loose, like all the screws got loose, and eventually it would just disintegrate. I had 2 DVD drives. One was, I think, a regular... It might have been a DVD light scribe, so you can use a laser, like the DVD laser, to etch images on top of your disc, because I would burn CDs and then etch the images, which I might still have laying around. I don't remember. Oh man, I might still have those discs. And then the second drive was a DDRW drive, so that was where you could read or write to a DVD-RW disc, which was, I don't think I actually used all that often because technology evolved really quickly. I went from that to a zip drive to I think a USB, and then we've basically been using USB ever since. But yeah, I bought that sucker apparently 19 years ago, because I think that's when I got my Newegg account. Yeah, it might have been $4 or $5 grand for a computer that had 1 gig, 4 cores, extreme cores. I don't remember what my GPU was. My GPU, GTX 8800. When did that come out? NVIDIA GTX 8800. Do I have a GTS? I don't remember. Had DirectX 10. Oh, that was a big deal. DirectX 10 was a big deal. I remember that. Do we have a release date? 2007. It was a staple for enthusiasts. Yeah, I basically went balls to the wall building this gaming PC because I've always wanted one. My parents never bought me my own computer. I had gaming consoles, but I never got to have my own computer. And I had a friend who did get to have his own computer, so I was always jealous. So when I finally had a little bit of spending money, and a credit card, I went all out. And boy, did I go all out. My computer ran Vista flawlessly. I mean, you basically needed that computer to run Vista, but it was awesome. It was. I had a blast building it. And I would do it again. I have done it again, but I would have too. We are so close. All right, what do I will need to install Wayland dependencies to use Wayland features. That seems fair. I'll make sure my Docker container has that as well. Any of this duplicated? No. That's duplicated. You will need to install the iBus dependencies to use the iBus feature. Do I need that? libibus. libibus. Do I need libibus? What is libibus? Is an intelligent input bus. It is a new input framework for Linux OS. It provides full-featured, user-friendly input method. Shared library support component for the iBus framework. It provides the necessary interface and tools for applications to handle complex character input messages, such as those used for Asian languages, It is essential for desktop environments like GNOME to manage input, especially under Wayland. That seems somewhat necessary. Yeah, that seems somewhat necessary. I think I'll grab that too. I'm not going to rebuild and wait for all this to happen if this passes, but at least in the container environment, or in my pipeline, and then the next time I go to build this container, it'll happen. Watching paint dry, come on. I want to see something cool happen. All right, something's happening. Something's happening. Wait for it. Wait for it. This is saying iBus and Wayland is on. All right, so now let's build. First try. I mean, it was just building C++ code, which we already know compiles, so I wasn't too worried about that. The next try is actually running it, right? So let's run it. That's an GCC release. Boom! Boom! Oh. I mean, we didn't write any code to tell it to resize, so that's fine. But boom! Alright, confirmed. Linux, Windows, SDL3. Awesome. I'm not gonna worry about the... I can at least run formatting real quick. Alright, code's been formatted. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and commit that, any of those changes. At least get this started. Once over to make sure I know what's being changed. The Android stuff, maybe I won't commit yet until I've tested the Android. But Windows and Linux is working, so I can go ahead and commit and push this. Now at least get the pipelines prepped with the Linux container. All right, Android. Oh boy. I can do Android on Windows now, so I guess I don't need to swap over to the container yet. So let's do that. Android Windows release. I like to have the README up with the image, so if anyone comes by, there's at least something kind of pretty to look at besides my face. Then I do this to make sure people visiting from vertical land and kind of see as well. See? That's what it takes to be a pro streamer. You got to account for all of your users' needs. Okay. It built. That's good. And it should have made lib Awen, if I recall. Or no, it configured. Sorry. Now we need to build it. So there's lib Awen. Cool. Now I need to build the APK. This is where I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna uninstall the old Awen app from my phone. It failed. Okay. Not surprising, I suppose. So let's hand this over to AI and see if it can clean this up. Error package, libsdl.app does not exist, so it's trying to import this guy here. So it either didn't know how to find it or it actually doesn't exist. I don't know which is which. Oh, that's right. I was going to look and see if SDL brought over its Android dependencies. x64, Clang, ARM release, VC package installed, Android, share, SDL3. So there's no jar files or anything here. I wonder if that's a feature I have to turn on. So that's something VC package has. I can look real quick. VC package ports SDL3. PQRS. SDL. Do I have to do anything to turn on Android? Scriptum support, iBus, Vulkan, Wayland. I might also want to do Vulkan, honestly. Unless this is a default feature. I don't think it's a default feature. No, these are. I don't see anything specific about Android. Oh no, does this not come with... I've been all wrong. Shader cross. Eventually, if we want to do shaders, we can write shaders in like GLSL, and then SDL3 will convert it all to the other shader languages at some point. Fonts, audio, image loading, textures, that kind of stuff. We'll probably need all of that at some point. The build failed because wasn't present. The sync SDL3 Android source's Gradle task is opt-in and hadn't been run. Retrying the build should now succeed. Okay. I will trust you, AI. Oh, we already knew that succeeded. APK. So what did it change? Oh my god. Oh my god. HI... Where did this stuff come from? This doesn't seem like it's auto-generated. Steam controller service, input characteristic, report characteristic. This seems... I mean, it built. I'm just wondering if... I'm curious, actually. If we go to GitHub SDL3... Like, is this something that comes with SDL? Android project. Okay, there we go. That's where this stuff's coming from. Steam controller, let's see, this is Steam input report. I have Steam input report. Mine out of date? That's fair. Mine actually might be out of date. So this is what is the latest on GitHub. I'm using a specific version from VC package, so I won't necessarily have the same stuff that SDL3 has. Okay, so that's where it came from. It's coming from SDL3, so that's good. And it built, so that's good. So now let's kick on my virtual machine for Android. Oh. It crashed because I think it was running the older version of Awen with Doesn't explain why it would crash though. Maybe I didn't shut it down correctly last time. I gotta remember, maybe someday I'll have people watching vertically, so I need to make sure like stuff is front and center. All right, so we'll do that. We'll move this like this. Cool. Collapse the. All right, so now I should be able to run my ADB install target. It should. I think this is Awen, so it should install something new. Maybe I can. So there's Awen. I mean, it's always going to be Awen, I guess. Build succeed. Is this the old build though? What are we running? ADB install. Build succeeded. Let's see. We'll know if the. No, that's still rated. That's still good. We need SDL3. Why is this not showing any output? I'm gonna cancel this and try again. First, I'm going to uninstall Awen, so we'll know for sure. I've got no processes running. Build the APK, just in case. APK built. ADB install. Success. There we go. All right, so now this should be the SDL version. Lib SDL3 not found. I wonder if the issue is the name. Oh, it also might be because it's static, because I'm statically linking libsdl. If that's the case, I wonder if it's more because isn't there a Java file that tries to load our dependencies? Where is that? App, source main, Java. Is it this one? I wonder if it's because of this. Can I comment this out? Okay. So, if that's the cause, maybe I need to, I'll build again just in case. Build the APK again, just in case. I'll eventually want to clean this warning up too. I'm still learning how all this Android stuff works. Okay, that built. No idea if it actually pulled in my changes or not, because I don't know what files it's building. We'll do another ADB install. Okay, so now it's just straight up not even wanting to run. So I wonder if I have to use SDL as a shared object. I don't have a choice for Android. So what that might mean is I might just set up Android to build all VC package dependencies as shared objects. And then the other thing I'll do is I'm switching this back to look for SDL3. I'm going to ask AI to just verify my assumptions, make sure I'm not crazy, or see if it comes up with a better solution. I'm always looking, like, I always have solutions in my head, but my solutions might not necessarily be better. And because I'm kind of working on this solo, I don't really have anyone to bounce ideas off of, so I'm using AI. I prefer to bounce ideas off of other colleagues. Let's build the APK. install it. And let's try and run it. Okay. So I can't copy that, can I? So let's tell AI, in trying to run the Awen app in the Android emulator, I get an SDL error. SDL open failed. Library libsdl3.so not found. I suspect this is because I built VC package dependencies as static. Should I be building VC package dependencies as dynamic for Android? Question mark. Right, linkage is the issue, but you don't need to switch to dynamic, since it causes SDL3 to be static. The link into libawen, there's no separate SDL runtime. Get libraries override is telling Android to load it. Well, that's what I thought, but it still didn't run. Fixes to remove it from get libraries is already baked into libawen. SDL activity uses get libraries to drive load libraries calls because the triplet uses static. Okay. I actually tried this solution earlier, but the application would crash when I tried to run it. I will just make sure. Just tried again with your recommendation and it still crashes. I didn't tell the AI that it crashed with no error this time, so I'm wondering if it's still thinking it's throwing the SDL3 error. Oh, it figured it out. Okay. Let me check what's actually built in the Android build output and whether SDL3 truly ended up static. Okay, it got there. It figured it out. It originally thought that the SDL3 error was still happening. Oh, interesting. It looks like the AI is picking up that maybe the Android build directory here, everything that's been cached, is still using a Raylib implementation instead of SDL. So I wonder, I mean, this won't be a common occurrence necessarily, but I wonder if that's something I need to account for and like make sure the Android stuff cleans before a rebuild. I wonder if I have to actually commit these SDL files. Is that the ideal solution here? Where's my VC packet build trees? I probably do because, like I said, build trees gets wiped, or can get wiped. SDL3, source, Android project. Yeah, I probably have to. None of this is getting copied over. Probably do have to commit it. I don't like it. I was really hoping that SDL had a way to do that. Port file usage. Nothing about Android. Yeah, nothing. Gradle build is never configured with SDL3. The APK was built against the old Raylib configuration. It fixes to clean the stale Gradle assuming cache so it reconfigures with the current SDL3. That's fair. That is totally fair. Okay, so I configure. So what changed? Anything? Nothing really changed. Other than the Android output. Still built APK. APK built. Install it. Installed, run it. Still crashes. What to do? Oh, maybe I have to delete it first. So I need to, okay, so let's clean all projects. Delete the stale cache in Awen Android app.cxx. then rebuild from Android. Okay, so let's try that again. So I'll configure. Build. Build the APK. Let's install. Then I will install the APK. Try and run it. That's what I thought. I just deleted the .cxx folder, cleaned my CMake cache, configured, built, APK install, tried to launch the app, and it briefly opens and then closes. Assume can't find SDL main in library. Oh, is that because I removed the header? I didn't think the header was needed. What? See what change it made? Let's take a look at this real quick. So it includes SDL main. It adds these arguments back in. SDL3 JNI successfully loads lib Awen, but it can't find the SDL main function inside it. Let me check. Main CPP and how the entry point is defined. Found it. The entry point is int main instead of int SDL underscore main. SDL3 on Android uses DL symbol to look for the symbol SDL main in the shared library main. It's not visible as an exported symbol from a shared library. SDL3's main provides the main use callback macro that renames main to SDL main. On non-Android platforms, maps it back to main. Jeez. The fix is to include SDL main and change the signature. Now rebuild and restart. Oh my gosh. That needs a comment. I'm definitely adding a comment there if this works. We'll build. Yeah, because, like, this just doesn't work. So what I'll do, first of all, I don't like using array symbols at all when passing this in. I want to know that I'm passing in an array of arrays. Secondly, since this is just a parameter, we can comment this out. Is there a way to, like... Man... That build the APK. Yeah, that's crazy if that's true. So can I right click on this and go to definition? No. Okay, so that built again. Let's uninstall this. Run adb install. Success. I mean, it kind of works. Oh, it kind of works. Kind of works. You can kind of see the triangle. You see the window title. This worked, but now my issue is the app is in, what do you call that? It's in landscape instead of portrait. Android screen orientation portrait. Okay. Didn't seem to work. I rebuilt the APK and installed it. And the app immediately rotates. Is this something I can provide in main.cpp? That would be huge. So I'd rather do that than mess with the Android manifest file. It's just lack of API knowledge. SDL set and SDL hint orientations portrait. Okay, so let's try that. I do want to get rid of this. Let's keep. Let's compile. Oop. Let's compile. Compiled package APK. Oh yeah, let's clear this out. Oh, I'm upside down. Oh, I'm upside down again. Still upside down. I'll get there. Alright, we're there. Nope. I am still upside down. What is going on? Why can't I get out from upside down? Build APK install. Okay, so we got a triangle, but the title is in the way. So we probably need to hide. Is there an like an SDL hint? SDL set hint. SDL hint. Window title. This is AI autofill. This isn't IntelliSense, so I don't know. Probably. Dang it. Let me go to. All right. So the best way for me to do this now is to use Visual Studio if I can. Oh, man. I have this set up in Visual Studio. I do want the title to be gone. All right. I want to hide the title. Probably need to use ClangD on Windows as well, at least if I'm using an editor versus Visual Studio. Okay, so what did we do to remove the title bar? Window portals. Okay, so let's try that. Let's build the APK. Then let's install. This isn't what when I launch the title appears below the navigation. It's not even navigation. What do you call that? Below notification. I don't see it happen in Android. The title appears and hovers up my triangle. Can't see it. Oh. So I wanted full screen. Was that the solution? Am I dumb? I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. I knew that. I've had to do that for QMLs. I feel like I should build the APK. See, the nice thing about Raylib, it did do that out of the box for you. You didn't have to worry about it. Raylib is definitely easier. This requires a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. All right, we have Hello Triangle with SDL3. On Android, on Windows, on Linux. I just want to make sure it compiles and runs in the container, and then WebAssembly, and then we should be good to use SDL3 from here on out. Okay, so I will go ahead and shut this down. Don't need that anymore. Let's commit my changes. Hello Triangle working on Android via Windows. Okay. Now, I assume all the dependencies that SDL3 will need will come from the Android SDK, so I don't know if there's anything we need to add to the container. Let's go ahead and open the Android container without modifying it. This has to build. I'm going to get up and check on my cat again. Make sure it's doing good. I do want to rebuild it. Okay, be right back. big red X on my screen. That's what I want to come back to. Hey, Isaac. How's it going? I think you're the second person ever to comment at me, and I really appreciate it. I am currently goofing around with C++ and building up. I say it's a game engine, but right now it's just, can we get a red triangle to render not only on your in your desktop environment, but also on like your phone or in the web browser. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Mostly sticking to what I know and see where that gets us. Right now, I just proved that I can get SDL3, which is a graphics library rendering triangles on Android via Windows. I'm in a Linux dev container. I'm saying all this. Do you even program? Are you a software developer, or am I going to bore you to tears? I would hate to scare someone off when I just start talking a bunch of stuff. What's red triangle good for? The red triangle helps me know that the code is doing what it's supposed to. So if I know I want to draw a red triangle, I can then throw it on my phone and verify that the red triangle actually drew. I actually think, do I still have it? I don't have it on my phone anymore. Once I get this figured out on Linux, we can definitely show you, but it's nothing special. It's just it's a launching point to get this entire code base up and running. Draw a single triangle, kind of like wiggling your big toe in Kill Bill. You just want to get that first step. All right, so I am in the Android dev container. Now I want to configure and build my project for Android on Linux. This might actually take a sec. Not sure. Can check the pipelines real quick. How are we doing here? Let's go ahead and create a pull request. Get that going. Make sure all my jobs are building with the changes I've recently made. All those kick off. That's good. Oh, you have no clue what I'm talking about, but it interests my brain, so I'm trying to learn a little. Yeah, okay, so that's fair. And I think what I am doing is a little bit beyond even like a junior developer. So to give you a quick rundown, you know how like you use your phone, you play a video game on your computer, on your phone, heck, even seeing me in the web browser, all of that is using graphics. Well, before I can get to that point, I have to get the software to actually do that, whether that's in the browser, on your phone, that kind of thing. So that's what I mean by red triangle. And since you're here and you're actually asking, I'm going to stop what I am doing right here and actually show you an example of what I've done so far. So let's pop out of this locally. Everything you're seeing on screen right now is kind of my development environment. It's where I type a bunch of text and tell a compiler to turn it into an application that I can run on Windows, Linux, Android. So I'll show you real quick, since I have this already built. I can go here and do build Windows. We want to do, let me see. All right. This is the red triangle. You meant to say, oh, I understood what you meant. I am not a software devourer. I appreciate you not being a devourer and actually being a developer. That would be bad for my business if you were devouring developers. So this is the red triangle that I was talking about. You see, it's a window, right? It's I'm on Windows, so if I minimize everything, anytime you open an application on Windows, you think about like Discord, YouTube, a video game, anything. You open an application on Windows, it is code that is telling the operating system to make this window. It is code that's telling your graphics card to render a red triangle. And it's one thing to do it on just Windows. I am working on a solution, so a game engine, like a game engine, I'm working on a solution where you enter your code once and it will automatically make this red triangle appear not only on Windows, but on Linux, on Mac, on an Android phone, or in your browser. So as of this morning, I had this working for everything. I did a very simple solution to get this up and running. Now I'm using some more advanced code, lower level code, to do the same thing, because I want to turn this into potentially a game engine, or at least at a minimum, a little tool to tinker around with on stream to do software development, because that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my stream here. Is I've been doing software development for 20 years, and I kind of want to show off what I know. I really enjoy software development, so I really want to take this opportunity for anyone who might have an interest to stop by, say hi, and be like, hey, how in the world are you doing that? Or share knowledge. Maybe you are a very experienced developer and you want to come in and say, hey, that's not how you do that. Why are you doing it that way? Because I'm always looking to do things a little better and improve. So that's kind of where things are at. So red triangle on Windows. I have an Android emulator that I can pull up here. So this would be as if you were loading on your phone, if you, like, for example, iPhone or Android if you have Android. So I'm going to go ahead and close this app. But I loaded this app from what I compiled using the same exact code. I hit a button, and boom, I now have a red triangle on my phone. So that's what I'm working towards. And that's what you kind of caught me in the middle of when I was speaking red triangle. And that is getting it working. Because if I can prove that it works, I can now start building more complex stuff. I can start rendering text. I can start rendering... I'm not going to do 3D graphics because that's a lot of work and I'm lazy. But 2D graphics, I can, instead of rendering triangles, I can render squares, circles, etc. And then I'll turn it into a mobile app. Because the other thing I'm doing on this stream, which I'll probably do throughout the week versus on the weekend, is I'm building a game. And I can show that off real quick, I think. This is a live demonstration, so I don't know if it's going to crash or not. Godot game engine. So this is what turning a red triangle into a real thing looks like. And then if I hit play, yeah, cool, it works. Okay, so this is kind of what I've been working on. Let me plug my controller in. And I'm working on this with a couple of buddies, colleagues that used to work for me. And this isn't going to be a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of gameplay because I'm literally only a month of development into this right now. But this is kind of like a top-down 2D aerial combat something. I don't know exactly what the gameplay features are going to be, but the idea here is you might enter some air combat. Maybe it becomes a multiplayer thing, and these would be your enemies, and I can move this cursor over them to like see information. I've got stats on the right side for kinetic, maneuver, durable, etc. That might define the behaviors of your aircraft and its capabilities, what kind of weapons you can launch, so on and so forth. Not a whole lot here yet. I can go quick, I can slow down, I can turn, I can step the range in and out. That's about it. But I'm working on this during the week, and then on the weekends is where I'm kind of doing a little bit more general tinkering. And what you walked in on was me using a Linux to build that same red triangle for my mobile phone. So that's what I'm working on. Rendering a red triangle. I want to say, Isaac, I appreciate you. You are the very first person since I started streaming as of I think I started streaming 3 or 4 days ago, that came in here and actually asked a question. I appreciate you not leaving me alone on my island. Assuming you're still there. If you're not there, I still appreciate you. Let's see here. So I'm in my container. I want to... perfect. Well, good. Having done this for so long, I always stress that I am explaining in too technical detail for someone to follow along. So if you ever have questions and you do happen to come by my stream again, just ask questions. I will be happy to explain to the best of my ability to help someone understand. So now I am trying to get this, do the exact same thing I did on Windows on Linux. And it might be hard to tell, but this environment I have set up is using a very lightweight Linux virtual machine on Windows to run Linux tools to do the same thing I just did. Why would I want that? For my software pipelines. That is where I come in after I make my changes to my code. I come in here and I see a bunch of stuff with green check marks and some stuff with red check marks that tells me the changes I made broke something. And this is what it takes. This is like everything I'm doing here, that's what it takes to deliver actual software, is making sure your code works on all the platforms you're going to support. And I want to support as many platforms as at least I know how to do. So that's where that gets. I don't want to get too technical there, because I could speak all day on it. I actually want to get some progress done. So you know nothing, but it's actually interesting, and yes, I will return on notification. I really appreciate it. I had one person on Twitch send me one message saying like, hey, are you a C++ veteran? And then he never replied after, so I wasn't sure, but he did follow me, but I wasn't sure what was going on there. But you are officially the first person to have a actual conversation with me. And so if someday I become this mega famous streamer, I'll remember you. If I fade into obscurity, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to fade into obscurity with me. I mean, I'll still remember you, but you know. This is gonna be the boring part if you're still there. This is what I like to call watching paint dry. I'm gonna put up a pretty graphic so we have something to look at while we wait. This is what I'm naming my my application engine, my game engine, whatever you want to call this thing. This is literally, I started doing this 2 days ago, so I don't know what this is gonna turn into. So we're literally, yeah, exactly. We're if you ever want to know what a developer spends some of his day doing, it's this. I'm literally sitting here waiting for some library, some code that I didn't personally develop, but someone else did, open source code. I'm sitting here waiting for it to compile. So I am watching paint dry. Now, usually I have something else to do while I'm doing this, like professionally. But since I'm sitting here in front of a camera, I really don't have too much else to do. Other than chat with you, of course. If I had to realistically guess, no, unfortunately, I didn't make the Awen photo. I have a colleague of mine is currently working on some like logos and icons for my channel and for this project. But since it's open source and since I'm borrowing this was AI generated, and that's also kind of what I'm doing with this channel, is showing how you can use AI in like a professional environment. Now, I've already gone through a lot of the AI stuff, so you're not really seeing it happen right now. But that's usually what this side panel here is for, that I'm dragging back and forth on. I can put in my prompts and say, hey, this isn't working, fix. Or I say, hey, the solution you gave me isn't working, what's wrong with you, right? This is where I can cuss out the AI if I need to, that kind of thing. But yeah, so open source project. I'm not trying to make any money on this. But yeah, eventually I'll replace this. But for now, yes, it's an AI generated photo, and you'll notice like a lot of AI photos will have this like yellowish glowing effect to it. I don't know where it gets that from, but clearly whichever artist it stole from, it really likes. I don't know. It also, I can throw on my screen and give someone something to look at while we're waiting for this wall of text to scroll by, which we are almost done. All right, so hit configured. Now I need to actually compile the code on Linux. So I'm going to hit my compile button and we'll see if that compiles. It compiles. I need to make sure the Android application package gets built. And if it gets built, we're good. And if it gets built, we're good. Then the final step is going back and making sure I can render this in a web browser. That red triangle in a web browser. And if that's good, I am now ready to start actually writing some code. I think. Unfortunately, in this Linux environment, because I am in a virtual machine, it takes a little longer to run than it would normally on my desktop. Taking a decent amount of time, actually. I wonder if it's building... I think it's building some Android dependencies under the hood, and it's not letting me... I think it happens... Yeah, that's what it's doing. Okay. So it's building some components so that this code can run on it. That's why we don't see anything happening. Come on. We're almost there. Oh, I'm sorry, Kat. I wasn't talking to you. I'm sorry. Hi. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you. I was talking to my computer. What? Something is happening. It is thinking. Let's see. File changes stopped unexpectedly. A reload of the window may enable the watcher. That's not the issue. I don't need to rebuild. Just need this. There we go. All right. Woo! We got there. All right. So that built. That's successful. We are good. So the last thing I need to make sure is that we can run this in the web browser. So I'm going to swap over to my web browser container. Let's see here. To open. Let's reopen locally. Then we need to hop into our web browser called WASM. WebAssembly, WASM. So let's manage that safely. Now I just need to make sure that the web assembly compiles. Release. Kind of have to do the same thing, but at least for this one, I'll be able to show an actual example of that red triangle in the window. Yep, gotta recompile, watching some paint dry again. What are you doing, Trill? What? What are you doing? What are you doing? Ouch. Alright, my cat bit me. Cool. I do have a cat. Let me see if I can pick him up. Hang on. Hi, Trill. Okay. His name is Trill. He makes a really loud purring sound when he's happy and content, or he wants attention. He doesn't really meow. He does not meow much. So if he wants to let you know he needs something, his purr will echo throughout the entire house. It is so loud. Isn't that right? I'm trying to see if I can get him to do it. I don't know if he'll do it. I don't think he wants to be held right now. Oh. He's starting to. Oh, he's big. Yeah, he's big. Come on. I don't know if the noise gate will let you hear him. Yeah. Oh, he wants on my desk now. I can't let you on the desk, buddy. Nah, he's not gonna do it right now. I've only had him since last September. He, a friend of mine was walking with her husband, and he followed them for like 3 miles. Super chill dude. Oh yeah. So so this table behind me, I'll have a couple of my colleagues over to work on that game I was showing, and he'll sit under the table, and they'll be like, "What is that noise? What's going on?" And it's just his trill will just bounce off the wall, because I don't have a lot of stuff hanging on my walls right now. And so it just we can't hear anything. It's nuts. Ooh, okay. So it built. We have Awen.html. So that's good. So what I need to do now is serve it up as like a web server. And I'm sure I remember the command. Oh, here it is. Oh, I hit the wrong character. Okay, so now it's running. So now I need to open this up in a browser and see if there's a red triangle. Red triangle. We did it. I guess I did it, but you were here with me when I did it, so now it's we did it. You get all the credit too, because you're the only one here that I'm aware of. All right, so that was kind of the hard part. Now I need to get all those changes pushed up, now that I know the red triangle works. Oh, maybe... Oh, I didn't have to make any changes. It just worked out of the box. Sweet. Okay. So now the next step is I've got some stuff failing, and I have to make sure it passes. Yeah, I don't, like... I'm still learning how to stream. I don't know how to use the software. So, like, that also means I don't know how to read the software, so I have no idea who's watching, if anyone's watching. I've been trying to talk to myself the whole time, which, honestly, when you have no idea if anyone's watching, gets kind of exhausting. But yeah, I've been dealing with that. Let's see. I am missing some dependencies in my container. Why is that? I need libtool, ltd1, devel, libtool. Did I not do that? So, what you're seeing here is a GitHub, which is a Microsoft-owned cloud service, essentially. So anytime I make changes to my code, I'll push it up, and it'll basically have some virtual computers running to make sure code will actually compile. This right here is telling me my code did not compile, which is dumb. It should compile. Now I gotta figure out why. Dev container, Linux, Docker file, libtool. It says it's missing this. Yeah, I did that, and I wasn't sure, and maybe people are showing up now that weren't before. Like, I'm on my phone here. Huh? It says 8 views. Well, it says 8 views. I don't know if that means viewers or views. So when it says views, I'm not sure if that means someone like clicked on the video and then was like, oh no, programming gross, and then walked away, or if it actually means someone is actively sitting there watching me talk to myself. I don't know which one it is. All right, so we have libLTD1dev that I need to make sure my container has. That's so weird that I needed this. Is this the same error? Yeah, it's the same error. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that that's the fix and see what happens. If this doesn't work, then I will have to actually try and fix this myself. Add missing LTD1. Is that L? Is that an L or a 1? I guess it's an L. LTDL. And it's push. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is it just shows who's like clicked on it and left. But it's awesome. You've stayed around so far. I really appreciate it. At least I know I'm talking to someone. Though to be fair, I probably won't be around much longer. I've been at this for about 3 hours. I'm not trying to spend too much more time on this, especially now that I know this red triangle thing is working. Maybe another hour. Now that I got the red triangle working, if I get all this stuff to pass, I think my next step is I'm gonna have to actually start writing some code. I can make Pong, probably write some code to make Pong now that that's working. Then I can verify that Pong works in a browser and on my Android phone. That might be easy enough to do. That'd be kind of cool. I don't think I've ever done Pong for like an Android phone. Really appreciate it, Isaac. I'm talking about Pong. I don't want to explain why, but so just like the red triangle where I'm trying to figure out how to make sure all these different devices and software can draw a red triangle. The thing about Pong is it's simple enough that I don't have to write any complex code, but it tests more stuff, right? Because you need to be able to input. You need to be able to move the rectangle up and down, which means I need to be able to use a keyboard to control the Pong pattern. I need to be able to render text. And if I make Pong, I can then test it on my phone and make sure that my touch inputs are working. If I use my finger to swipe, does it move the Pong pattern? That kind of thing. So I do stuff like this to help myself understand how the solution works, and then I can use that to build on top layers and layers of other tools and techniques to build out an entire application framework. All right, stuff is passing. Green check marks is good. Yellow circles spinning means it's running. So if we clicked into one of these, we would see that it is actively doing stuff. So this is basically running on a computer somewhere else in the world. Probably America somewhere, if I had to guess. Owned by Microsoft. So that's running. And the reason I'm kind of waiting now is I need to know that all this stuff passes, and then once it does, I'm going to merge it back into the core branch of my repository where the code lives. And once I have that, I can pull it back down onto my computer, and now I know I am guaranteed to be working from a source of truth that I know works. Because right now I've been kind of doing all of this off to the side to make sure it all works without like touching the source of truth. And then once all that stuff on the side I know works again, I can bring it back into the source of truth and make that the new source of truth. It helps me guarantee every time I go to work on something, if something breaks, it's because I broke it off to the side versus, oh, something a long time ago broke and I didn't know it. Why is that taking a while? It's just, oh, yeah, it has to build all those. So all the dependencies that we just kind of watch get built locally on my computer, these servers have to build them and cache them. So that's what's taking taking a little while. But I think it might almost be done. Yeah, it's almost done. We're at 13 of 18. And once that's done, the next time I push up changes, this shouldn't have to happen. At least until I add more stuff. More dependencies. Almost there. 17 of 18. Isaac, if you're still there, out of curiosity, are you watching the vertical version of my stream or the widescreen version? I wasn't sure if it was worth doing one over the other or if I should be doing both, but I have noticed even on myself when I'm doom scrolling that I start to see like live streams pop up vertically, and I'm like, I'm already doom scrolling, I might as well just keep watching, versus trying to navigate to their widescreen version. Alright. We got green. Everything's green. Is everything green? I think everything's green. Everything is green. Let's go. Alright, so now I'm going to merge that into the source of truth. I don't need that side branch anymore, so I can delete it. So then if we go to the code repo here, all the builds will kick off again with the source of truth. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That makes sense, actually, Isaac. Yeah, because if you're just using your phone and you're scrolling, then yeah, I guess it's just the vertical. But, which, if you're using vertical, I assume you're watching on your phone. But if you're, like, on a browser at your computer, on a laptop, that kind of thing, if you went to my YouTube channel and go to the live tab, you would see another option to click on, and then that would be, like, the full screen desktop version. At least I hope. I honestly, like, I'm kind of blind to what's working and what isn't. But I think that's what's happening. Alright, so now that this is merged into the source of truth, I need to pull it back down. So that is called main. Then I hit this button to grab everything. Now we are good. So let me go back to Windows here. Alright, so that's compiled. Let's make sure I can still run it. That's not the right one. I did release. Oh my gosh, everything's going haywire. Oh, that's full screen. That's a whoops. Oh, abort. Okay, I know what's wrong. It's full screen because I was working on Android. Don't want it full screen when it's not Android. There's probably a check I can do here. I only want full screen by default. Otherwise, default should be. I'm using AI to just generate that solution versus having to go dig up documentation on how to specify Android here. Like formatting. Maybe that's what we have to do. So if Android, use full screen. Otherwise, just default to 0, so do nothing. Let's compile that. Make sure that works. Oh, you have a 1S? I haven't had an Xbox in a minute. I don't remember which year the 1S was. I got the Xbox One X back when I was playing Destiny 2 with friends, and I bought a 4K TV, which was, oh my gosh, I think that was 6 or 7 years ago. When was I don't remember when Destiny 2 came out. Actually, I don't know if you could see it. The TV in the background there, that's the TV I bought to go with my One X to do like 4K HDR gaming with Destiny. It was amazing. I only ever played Destiny. So since then, I stopped with the Xbox and kind of went PC all the way since then. So I've only ever done PC gaming after that. Okay, I want to see, does this create the window? There we go. All right, I got my triangle back. Sweet. Okay, so now the next step is I want to turn this into Pong with inputs that work on Android as well. And the web browser. I assume the web browser would just use the keyboard still. Okay, so let's create Pong. Oh no. Is that PvP, I guess? Yeah, I can understand that. I think I would have been classified as a sweat. I don't think I was the best, but I did all right. Like I had a friend group that, I mean, I grew up around the time of Halo, where Halo was really popular while I was in high school. So we would do Halo all the time. Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, the whole shebang. We'd play in the middle of school, so like during school. So I think I probably would have been considered a sweat. I don't think I was the best of the best, but I was probably a little above average at the time. Nowadays, I don't touch first-person shooters. There are, I'm going to sound like a boomer, but there are so many different colors flashing across the screen, different abilities and superpowers. Like, Destiny was my limit, and I thought Destiny was a little over the top with the abilities you could do. Now I want to replace the triangle implementation with Pong. Food, scoring, ball reset, top and bottom, collision detection, dynamic, ball collision off of paddles. What else do I need for Pong? The user controls the left paddle. This should also handle touch gestures for Android. Alright, let's see what happens. I'm just telling AI to make me a Pong game, and let's see if it'll do it. Oh, nice. On your dad's Xbox 360. Oh, no. I grew up on like, as a kid, I had Nintendo. Then I went to Sega 32X, N64, and then the original Xbox. So I played Halo on the original Xbox. I think Halo 2 was on the original Xbox and and that's what we used Xbox Live for. So that's where the online multiplayer came into play. Halo 3 must have been 360. Because I did a lot of Halo 3. And then after that, Halo kind of died off. I kind of grew past it. I did like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 might have been my, like... I mean, Destiny was the last first person that I really played when it came to, like, PvP. But Black Ops 2 was the last, like, just pure go shoot people up game. These days, I like slower paced games. More recently, Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3, one of the best games I've ever played. And I played Zelda Ocarina of Time, also one of the best games I've ever played. If I'm not playing any of those types of RPG-based games, I'm usually like online playing with some friends. I do World of Warcraft once in a blue moon, Rocket League, too much, and then survival crafting games. I'll host game servers, that kind of thing. Yeah, I agree with you there on Black Ops. Black Ops 2 was amazing. I really liked that game. I couldn't keep up after that. They just kept adding more and more. Again, I probably grew out of it too because by then I was probably early mid-20s. Oh, my Pong game might be done. We'll see if AI gets it right. Actually, I'll see if I can get it on my phone, and I'll show you it working on my phone, assuming it actually works. We'll see. Okay, so it made a bunch of changes. I am going to assume those changes are good. They, like, at a cursory glance, they look okay. I'm seeing some math to handle collision detection, stuff like that. Let's compile it and see if it runs. Look at this. Oh my gosh. What? AI literally just generated Pong for me. Here, I'm gonna make it full. Oh, I can't make it full screen for you. Can you see that? I think you can see it. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Oh, it even has like dynamic. You can like choose how to hit the ball in what direction. Look at that. All right, this is actually going to be a problem if I can't at least beat the paddle once. Okay, all right. Woo! We got there. Okay, the text is a little small. I kind of want to make the text a little bigger. Let's see if I can find where it's doing that. What are you doing? What do you want, Trill? What? Alright, how do I change the size of the text? I want to add resizable. I think there's like a... Is there a resizable flag? SDL window... Yeah, there is. Okay, so that'll make it resizable. I want to increase the size of the score. I think this is the position. Maybe this is the size. Let's do 36. Let's see what happens. No, I'm not controlling both sides. I'm controlling the left side, and then the right side will follow the ball at a constant speed. So if the ball is moving quicker than the speed of the paddle can make it, that's how you end up beating it. Alright, so that did not resize the text like I thought it would. But it does let me do this. Oh no. Ooh. Let's, when I resize the window, the Pong game remains in the top left. I actually want the game to stretch with the window. This is the graphics rendering is really involved, so I'm just going to say this is a viewport issue that should get fixed by the AI once I input a command. Oh, I keep forgetting you're on a vertical display. So you probably can't see like the left and right side of my, because I'm streaming horizontally, so you're only seeing like the middle section of my display. So I got to get better at that. I got to remember that people will watch that way. Alright, let's see if this works. So if I resize, there we go. Okay, so you can probably see that. I think if I do this, there we go. Okay. Now I bet you can see that, right? Ooh, no, you can't see the right side. Why can't you see the right side? There we go. Now you should be able to see that. All right, cool. So Pong is working. now I want to see if I can get this loaded on my actual phone to see if my touch will drive the touch or the paddle. Oh, is the chat getting in your way? That's annoying. I don't think I have a way to like, if I could just cover up my face with the Pong game, that could work too. Or maybe I put my face over chat so that my content is where chat is less present. I'll have to test that. I'm gonna watch the playback of the video and see what will work. Alright, so I'm gonna compile this for Android. I'm gonna plug my phone into my computer and use it as a guinea pig. Actually, I might be able to just... Alright, tell her enter the train. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's see if this will this actually work. Oh, did it work? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. How do I show you? How do I show you? Oh man. If I unplug, will it still work? I gotta show you this. This is so cool. Alright, okay. I'm gonna have to like see what you see. Okay. So I can kind of see. I can it like follows my finger. Can you see that it's oh. There we go, got it. Look at that. That is so freaking awesome. I can't believe that works. Alright, so now I have Pong working on my phone. Now I need to see if I can get it working in a web browser. What do you want, Cat? I fed you. Why are you bugging me? Web browser. Alright. I go back into my web container. Well, time to watch paint dry a little bit. Come on. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now I need to run this web server in a browser. Can you see? You can see it, right? You can. Awesome. All right. So now I have Pong in a browser, on my computer, on my phone, and if I had a like Xbox developer license and software development kit, technically I'd be able to get this up and running on Xbox as well. But I don't have any of that. I'm not anytime soon going to stress about it. This is awesome. Oh, this is so cool. You weren't there for the first couple of streams, so this took a level of effort that was exhausting to get to this point. But now I should be able to start adding my own code and graphics, be able to draw and do whatever I want. Oh, I'm gonna get beat. Okay. And then be able to write code to work on any platform, on anything that has a graphics card or a CPU. So now I need to push this up and make sure my GitHub pipelines are passing again. And then I need to come up with a plan on what to do for the rest of this project or next weekend. I wanted to make sure this is formatted. Okay. Desktop. Okay. I appreciate that. Okay, so that's pushed up. Let's make sure we have those yellow-orange circles turn into green check marks. Come on, turn into green check marks, please. Oh, there you are. Thought I heard you. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? You keep bugging me. Couple of check marks down, that's good. It's building the dependencies again. That's not good. Alright, that's fine. I'm not gonna sit here and have people watch paint dry. Alright, I think I am going to end it there. Isaac, I really appreciate you coming to hang out when you did. You kind of helped the monotony of speaking my thoughts to myself this entire time. So that was really cool. This was a cool experience. Even if I don't get any other people coming in, I really appreciate that you showed up and stayed around for a while. That was awesome. I work full time, so I don't know when the next time I'll necessarily be on. I am trying to show up around like 5, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, somewhere around that time period, most days. So I have an actual game I'm developing with a couple of people, so I will probably go switch back to working on that during the week, and then I'll use the weekend to do this kind of tinkering that you just saw me do. So if you ever pop in and say hi again, I would appreciate to have you, and it was really cool having you.